Welcome back. It is always a good day. When I wake up, I give thanks. And I know that today is a day that I get to introduce you to a fabulous human being. And also at the same time, I get to meet another very cool individual. Her name is Chenée Fournier. Beautiful name. The website is her first and last name.com, ChenéeFournier.com. She's an evidential medium and she's also an energy intuitive. And I'm going to introduce her in just a moment. First, a little housekeeping. Thank you to the 18 countries that are now downloading the next room. Thank you to my top cities, New York, Houston, Sydney, Australia, Portland, Oregon. I am so grateful. It's the only way that a small show can gain any traction is if somebody taps you on the shoulder and says, hey, this lady is taking death and turning it into dinner conversation. We cover everything on the next room, from green burial practices to wills and trusts to cultural traditions surrounding death to my favorite, the afterlife and the spiritual side of things, which I really dig. So you're going to love this conversation today. Chenée Fournier, thank you for joining me. How on earth did you find me? Because you reached out to me via my website and kind of told me a little bit about your work. And then I started looking you up and I'm like, oh, you have to come on the show. Tell me the story.
Okay, actually, you know what? I follow so many different muses and threads of information that I am not sure how exactly, but your book landed up in my hands. And I was reading through the book, and then I went to your website and I started listening to the podcasts. And I just thought, you know what? This just seems like a kindred spirit, a kindred soul. I really would love to have a conversation with her.
I love when that happens. Here, you and I have met for the first time today. And the very first thing when you signed on, and you said immediately that you had said a nice little prayer about connecting and not having any technical issues. And I'm giggling because it's the very first thing I did when I stepped out in the studio. So I love that kindred spirit. Talk to me about what exactly an evidential medium and an energy intuitive, what do you do? What does that mean, those terms?
For me, energy intuitive means that, and I was aware of this even as a child, that, because not only are we physical beings, even larger than that, we are beings of spirit, beings of energy, beings of light. So when I interact with the world, whether it be animals, other people, the natural world, what have you, I'm picking up on energy just consistently. So as a young person, I had to learn how to pick up on it and read it, but not let it run through me. So for me, I'm just always using my intuition. People will ask me, oh, well, how do I know how to listen to my intuition? And for me, it's just always come natural to just listen to that inner voice. Anytime when I was younger, when I would start to make a decision about something, I could override the intuition and it would never go well. So then throughout life, you just kind of come to realize, oh, okay, wait a minute, if I'm just really picking up on energy, I'm just really paying attention to how does this make me feel? Does this resonate with me? Is this a frequency that makes me feel good? Or is it kind of dissonant sort of energy that just doesn't feel good? So for me, that's what energy intuitive means, is that I'm just always intuiting around me what's going on. Someone could be looking at me, smiling at me, saying something very pleasant, but if there's something underneath going on that just is really kind of pulling them down, I can intuit that and I can hold the space to help them feel a little bit better after they have a conversation with me, even if it's just talking about the weather or what's going on with their dog or my dog or what have you. So for me, it was a process of learning to tap into this beautiful energy that's all around us at all times, but not having it run through me. That's one of the things I always teach my clients when I'm working with them is you're going to frazzle yourself if you let energies run through you that aren't yours. You can let divine light and divine energy run through you, which I do every day and every moment, every breath. But I always make sure that my gorgeous soul family of light keeps me just sort of emanating so much light that only light and that which resonates with me is going to find me. Now, if anything is around me that's really out of resonance, just really isn't going to resonate with me and isn't going to make me feel good, I allow my light to meet it and to hopefully transform it and then shine it back towards them. I'm never letting stuff run through me.
Mm.
Same with my evidential medium work. The reason why I call it evidential is because when I'm speaking with clients, I'm bringing through things that just cannot possibly be anybody else but their loved ones. One person's grandfather who I brought through, he was shaking a a Tic Tac box, and they were green Tic Tacs inside there. And the woman thought for a second, and she burst out laughing, and she said, "Oh my God, that is definitely my grandfather. He used to always shake those little packets, and it drove everybody crazy, and he loved the green ones." Another person's loved one who I brought through was her husband. He was very kind of matter of fact, very get business done sort of thing. So oftentimes when I'm bringing people's loved ones through and communicating with them, I will take on their mannerisms. I will kind of speak the way they do just a little bit. I don't, completely change my voice. And one of the last things that came through, it was like, "Oh yes," and tell her, "Get that weather stripping finished." And she burst out laughing because shortly before his physical transition to the afterlife, he had been working on weather stripping some windows and it wasn't complete, and she had never gotten around to completing it yet. So that's what I talk about with evidence. I'm bringing through things where I'm not reading the person's mind, because sometimes that can happen too. Sometimes someone can come into a session and they really want to hear something. So I have to make sure that I'm not reading their energy and reading what they hope to hear, that I'm truly, honestly in communication with their loved one in spirit, because their loved one in spirit has a full, gorgeous, well-rounded life, even more so beautifully than what it was when we were here. This life is beautiful with all of its challenges and trials and tribulations. But I always tell people what comes next is even more beautiful. So I have zero fear of death, because to me, and my head is tingling as I say this, I'm getting the little spirit shimmers, as I call them. Death is just a graduation from this life. So I don't even say I'm connecting with people's dead loved ones. They're not dead. They are more alive than I could ever even define. And so I just really help them realize that yes, you don't any longer have the physicality of that loved one with you, but you have them with you in just this all encompassing multi-dimensional reality. And I know I've had plenty of deaths, physical deaths that I've experienced from my loved ones in my life, including pets. And yes, I miss their physicality. I miss hugging them. I miss interacting with them in a way that's very clear like this. But with the work that I do, I show people that not only can I connect with their loved ones who've gone on before them, but I can teach them how to do the same so that eventually they don't need the medium. And so for me, the terminology of medium is kind of twofold. On the one hand, I'm asking my gorgeous soul family of light to raise my frequency and expand my consciousness, and they in spirit are lowering their frequency. So that's why I say they bring things down. I don't think there's some upper echelon, but they're at a higher frequency than we are. So they lower their frequency. I raise my frequency. I teach my clients how to do the same. And then we meet in that medium space. I also see spirit as the medium. So just like painting and sculptures are mediums for art, and the airwaves are the medium for the spoken word, the spirit is this medium that we all exist within. And I don't know who I heard this from, but there's an argument or a question. Does the sky start an inch above the ground, or does it go all the way up miles up into the ether above us? And so for me, that can be the same question. Well, is spirit really far away, or does spirit begin within each one of my own cells, within my own physical body? And for me, the answer is it's in every one of my cells. I can't be separated from it. But while I'm here in physical form, I have these physical limitations. And when I'm tapping into the realm of spirit, those limitations are gone. But I do realize that when I do this work, I'm not doing it on my own. I'm doing it with my gorgeous soul family of light, my angels, my guides, my ancestors of the light. So I don't even have any nerves when I do this work, because I know that they're going to carry the session, and I'm going to work with them and for them. And they're going to make sure that I see and hear and feel, not fear, I don't ever have any fear, but they're going to make sure that I'm able to use all the clairs that I have, the clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance, and clairvoyance, and that I'm able to really speak through what needs to be spoken through. And for me, when I speak the words, I'm actually taking the non-physical and I'm bringing it into the physical. I'm creating sound waves with my voice. And so when I do the energy healing sessions, they are what I call spoken word energy healing. It's spirit guided, and I'm speaking the words that I think will be the most healing that's coming through. And like I mentioned earlier, with the clair sentience, I let my gorgeous team of light know I don't want to feel the physical ailments, because when I first started doing the mediumship work, I would notice after about 3 readings in a day, I would start to feel a little bit lightheaded. I would feel kind of ungrounded. And so I thought, okay, you know what? I would rather really, really get more fluent in claircognizance, because just a knowing how somebody made their physical transition is all I need. I don't need to feel the pain. I don't need to feel the discombobulation. And so that's a whole long answer to your question,
No,
but
that's
that's kind
good.
of how I work and how I just feel. I feel so grateful to get to do this work every single day. I wake and thank, as I say, just wake up and thank my beautiful, gorgeous soul family of light, my angels, my guides, my true self. And I'm just so grateful to do this.
I love it. I think it's a great explanation for what exactly it is that you do. So, 2 questions that come to mind that I need to double back on. How old were you when you kind of knew there's something going on? Like, what age were you when you started really feeling this tingle or the Holy Spirit or whatever, and you knew that you could connect beyond what is here physical in the here and now?
My goodness, it's so funny. That's a hard question to answer because I don't really recall a time when I wasn't aware of that.
Okay.
Even as a child, like 3, 4 years old, um, I would talk a lot in my sleep and I would move around in my sleep. And so my mom would sometimes open up my bedroom door just to see what I was doing. One time she said she opened up the door and I had my pillowcase open and I was looking into the pillow and talking. So I think that I was already talking to spirit, but the parent, my mom, just thought, oh, she's just talking in her sleep, kind of a thing. Although, what like I outline on my website, I believe that this ability to connect with spirit actually came from my mom in the maternal side. Okay,
Ah,
she has a story about being a child. I'm not sure how old she was, but a child. And she was sitting with her grandmother, who was sick, very sick, and getting close to the physical death. And my mom said she saw her grandmother's spirit get up out of her body, walk around the bed, and then get back into her body. And I asked her, did that scare you? And she said, no, I don't know why it didn't, but it didn't scare me. So I realize now that this is just something that's in my lineage. I do believe that we all have these sensitivities, but not all of us are inclined to want to develop them. Not
mm,
all of us are really that much in touch with them, but I do believe that everyone can have them reawakened, if that's a word, within them, kind of a thing.
okay. Yeah, I believe that. I believe that. I do feel that, and that's a great way to describe it. Not everyone wants to lean into that side, or there could be a little bit of fear attached to that.
Right.
Yeah. Now let's talk about when you said that you don't want the energy to run through you.
Mhm.
Explain that a little deeper for the audience.
Okay. So in any given moment, for me, the belief is that resonates with me is that source energy is always flowing into me and out of me. Every breath draws it in, every out breath, puts it out there. I am a conduit of energy. I believe everyone and everything is, the trees, the rocks, the people, everything, my dogs, everything. But that is a sort of energy that is modulated by my energy field, by my angels, my guides. For each person, we do have a bioelectric sort of energy field that surrounds us. So I believe that as the energy flows into us, it steps down appropriately so that it doesn't overwhelm us, because it's a very powerful energy, right? So when I'm tapping into these energy fields to do this work, I am completely aware that in my physical form, I could become overwhelmed or frazzled if I just let it kind of flow through me. So I don't ever just stand there and go, okay, flow through me like a tidal wave. That would
Okay.
probably knock me down. That would probably
Mhm.
frazzle me. So what I noticed was before I started saying, okay, I don't want all of this energy flowing through me. I don't want these other beings in spirit flowing through me. They don't need to merge with me. They can have a conversation with me. And I have definitely had situations where, one house that I lived in Oregon for a while, the owner's mother had passed away in the house, had made her transition in the house. And back then, it did scare me because I felt like she was trying to pass through me. So I had to tell her very unequivocally, no, this is my inner sanctuary right here. You cannot come into me. You cannot pass through me. So back then it scared me. And that was many, many, many years ago. Whereas now, with something like that, first of all, something like that wouldn't even happen now because I do just shine so much light. And she wasn't meaning any harm by doing it. I think, her energy essence was there. I don't believe that she was stuck in that house, but a bit of her energy essence was still there in a memory packet form. And so I don't want that energy running through me because it may bring memories from her lifetime with it. I don't need other people's minds coming through me. I have enough going on in my own mind. So for me, it's very much a process of tapping into the information, like I'm reading things on a screen, like I'm seeing a movie play out in front of me, or like I'm on a phone talking to someone, but I don't need this energy to flow through me, sort of a thing.
Okay. Good answer. Good. Thank you for clarification because I was like, okay, what exactly does she mean by that? What part of what you do really lights you up? Like, what is the favorite thing that Chenée Fournier gets to do with clients that really brings you great joy?
Out of all of the things that I do, it is the mediumship readings with their loved ones, especially when I can really help them realize there is no reason to fear death. No, you have not lost your loved ones. They are still right there with you. They can hear you when you speak to them. You don't have to speak out loud. They can hear your thoughts. They know what's in your heart. But if you want to speak out loud, that's wonderful too. I love, love, love those. Those are my favorite readings. I also love doing the spirit guide readings and the guardian angel readings. I love helping people learn how to connect with their own team of light, as I call it, that surrounds them, their own soul family of light. Those are my favorite because what I realized years ago when I was doing the energy healing sessions is that these sessions were being so guided by spirit and so guided by beings that had made their transition that I realized, oh, okay, I don't want to just do energy healing. I want to be able to speak the words that I'm hearing and to bring people's loved ones through, to really reassure them there is nothing to fear. Honest to goodness, there is nothing to fear about this physical life ending and what comes next. So to me, I just came to the realization, this is not an original thought. Plenty of philosophers have come to this thought. The fear of death is just this psychic wound, just this wound that goes across all of humanity. And I think that that fear of death causes a lot of really unhealthy behaviors and unhealthy patterns in people. And I just think that if I can get people to be a lot more comfortable with the fact that there is no reason to fear death, that right there to me is the ultimate energy healing.
Yeah, yeah, no fear. Another message that I receive quite frequently. Um, I want to circle back to guardian angels. So you work with individuals to help them discover their team, so to speak, of guardian angels.
Right.
How does that work come about? Like, can you walk me through that process? And
Mhm.
you'll have to pardon me. My dog, who normally behaves very well, is very spirited today. And if she doesn't go and lay down, she's going to have to go in the house. So
I'm
sorry
not,
for that. I
it's okay.
normally leave her in the house if I'm going to be on video too, but my husband had to run out and she loves being out here with me. So I've been petting her. I don't want to give her any more treats. So Please lay down. Lay down, please. Please lay down. Lay down. Good girl. That should be good girl. You be a good girl. Right
You
there.
know, Jane, I believe what she's probably feeling is because I have about 6 different beloved dogs who have
Ah,
transitioned to spirit, and you're speaking about angels right now,
she's looking for him.
and I really actually think that my dogs, and probably all people's dogs, they are angels who agreed to come into physical form, knowing all the limitations that they would
Mm,
face in that physical form, so that I or anybody else who has dogs could look directly into the eyes of their physical angels and say, I love you, you are my heart and my soul,
mm-hmm.
to shower unconditional love upon and to receive it from. So I'm not surprised that your sweetie pie is there's, your dog's
Yeah.
feeling all of the
Yeah.
spirit.
I believe that so much. Like, I don't know what I was ever doing prior to not having dogs in my life. And now that I have had her and Honey, who went before her, her big sister, wow, just the beauty and the depth and the love that we receive from these fantastic four-legged family members is beyond anything I could ever describe.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
enough of she's being a good girl now. See, I just had to talk to her. Um, Guardian angels. So let's talk about that because I know everybody's like, please get back to guardian angels and stop talking about your dog. Um, let's talk about how you can help individuals find their guardian team, so to speak.
Okay, so first off, what I always assure people is that we all have these gorgeous beings of pure light and pure spirit around us. For some people, they actually call them star beings. They call them star seeds. They call them beings of light. For me, the terminology of angel, guardian angel, spirit guides, those terminologies just really resonate with me. What I always tell people is because these are beings of energy and light, they are genderless. They don't have to be stuck into a gender or a form, but if we want to interact with them, we are welcome to personify them, or we're welcome to put them into an animal form. If we want to say it's a spirit animal, a spirit guardian angel animal, they will meet us wherever we need for them to be. So one person who I was talking to, she said, well, I just don't have time to go into meditation and do this and do that. And I said, well, who said you have to go into meditation to interact with your guardian angels? You just wake up, open your eyes, and start speaking, and they will hear you. If you have a partner in bed beside you and you're embarrassed to speak out loud, well, speak to them in your mind, from your heart. So really, it's just a process of me tapping into my client intuitively, getting very quiet, waiting to hear what wants to be brought through by the angels. Simultaneously, my clients are also feeling this, and I can tell it. So then I will speak through the words that they need to hear in that moment that kind of open them up. And they almost always, I think they call them goosebumps. I like to call them spirit shimmers. Like you just get this feeling like, oh, okay, yeah, I feel just a slight and subtle change. And that's the beauty of the spirit world, is that it is very subtle. It can at times be very dramatic if we need it to be, but it's very, very subtle. And really, it's just okay, well, ask a question. And now ask a question to your egotistical side. I don't have a problem with the human ego. The human ego needs to exist or we'd get smashed and kind of trampled all over. But I do believe that the ego needs to be in service to the spirit, right? So we need to have a balance. So I never bash the ego. But if we start going into egotism and we think we know all the answers and we don't need any help from anyone or anything, that's when we can cause problems for ourselves. So I always ask my clients, well, ask your egotistical side that question and then find out what kind of an answer comes up. Now, just shift your attention and say, okay, angels, now I want to ask you that same question and see what answer arises and feel the difference between those two. Now,
Mm.
you have an ego in spirit, or an ego that's working in unison with your spirit and is well balanced, then oftentimes those answers will be the same. But it's because you are truly letting spirit, letting your higher self, your true self, inform the ego side. And it's a beautiful symbiotic relationship. I think both play an important role in humanity.
Are you able to keep yourself in check or in balance with the work that you're doing because you are connecting with so many energies? your clients, your human energies, and also then all of their spirit guides and guardian angels and family members. Um, is it a practice that you have to be able to really clear out so that you don't end up with all of this noise happening?
It's super interesting because I think that at the essence of it all, or when you distill it down, whichever terminology works best, I'm tapping into the oneness of us all, right? So I go beyond my client's personality. I go beyond my personality. I go even beyond the ancestors of the light or what have you. I just go beyond all of that and kind of tap directly into a source. So I really don't even actually feel like I need to kind of make sure that I stay separate from them because I'm going above the din, above the noise, and tapping
Yeah.
in that. And then what I do when I'm done with each session is I use my sound bowl and I just fully and completely, I actually speak the words out loud. I fully and completely disengage from this person and their energy. I disengage them from me. I tap my singing bowl and I just say some simple words like I release everything that's not mine. I release anything that's not here for my highest good. And I call back to myself all parts of myself and reintegrate them with me in a way that resonates with me and harmonizes with me. But if I were to ever forget to do that, I wouldn't worry because I kind of feel like that phrase is grandfathered in, so to say. It's like I've already let it be known, you know, I am a fraction of source. I am an expression of source. And I have my individuality and my quirks and my personality and my uniqueness for a reason. I love the saying distinct but not different. I'm not different from anybody else, but I'm distinct in what I came here to do and the way that I came here to do it. Just as diversity is important here on this planet, diversity is important in spirit too. So sometimes people can misunderstand the oneness concept of we're all going to be homogenized, we're all just kind of blended together. No, I really believe that we still maintain our distinctness and our uniqueness because that's what all weaves together to form a gorgeous tapestry, even in the realm of spirit. And I also resonate with the concept of process theology, that everything is in process, including source energy. And my experience and everybody else's experience and everything's experiences feed into the collective awareness, the collective consciousness, and continues helps it continue to expand and stay in process of
You say
becoming.
process theology?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Distinct, but not different. Chenée Fournier is my guest today. I am so enjoying this. So many thoughts are swirling. Are you able to um, take time and connect for yourself to find out if you're on your right path? Or are you just constantly working with other people and helping them to navigate their path? Do you ever say, okay, that's enough of everybody else. I need a little me spirit time and call upon those spirits to make sure that you're in the right space with what you're doing?
That's a beautiful question. I love that. And I love the concept of you can go beyond faith and go beyond belief and into a knowing. And I know that I am walking my true path. I
Yeah.
also know that I've had other lifetimes that made this one possible and other experiences in other lifetimes that made this one possible. I'm picking up a thread from a previous weaving of a tapestry. And every day, like I said, I wake up and I thank my gorgeous soul family of light. And one of my prayers always is, please continue to orient me towards my true path, my true calling.
Mm.
And yes, if ever I woke up and I thought, oh, this isn't my path anymore, that would be okay because I don't have an attachment to this is the way it has to play out. But I feel like just like oxygen is necessary to breathe, me tapping into spirit every morning is what's necessary. And the way that my path unfolds in front of me, I walk it with a knowing that I'm walking it appropriately. And I always do this work with integrity and honesty. And I just really feel, like I said, very, very honored to do this work. I don't really feel like there's ever a time when I need to, okay, call in my spirits or call in my guides, because they're always right here with me and they're always guiding me. So I really honestly feel like every day is guided by my angels. And if I just listen and be open hearted and move towards where they're calling me, I can't not be doing the work that I'm called to do. Plus, the reason why I know that I love this work is because if I won the lotto tomorrow and I never had to earn another dollar in my life, I would keep doing this work. I just wouldn't charge for it. That's, I mean, ultimately, I would love to have a passive income coming in to where then I could do the mediumship readings with no charge. You know,
Right.
no, but I do believe in a sacred economy. I do believe that because we live in a world where money is necessary, and it's called currency for a reason, just like there's current in the river and currents in electricity. Money is a currency. That's why we call it that. So it is an exchange of energy. So for me, the concept of a sacred economy, that I earn my income in a way that's sacred to me, and then I spend, share, give my money in a way that also keeps the sanctity moving throughout the world. So I'm not someone who has a problem with money. I don't think that money is the root of evil. I don't even believe in evil, but I believe that when people get caught up in greed, that's the problem. And whether you are bartering or giving stones to each other or exchanging money or exchanging bits of data as the exchange of currency, it's the intention behind it. And so, yeah, so if I just all of a sudden became like no need for money whatsoever, I would still do this work.
Mm, that's nice. I like the way that you describe that, a sacred economy. Um, I do feel that a lot of creatives, a lot of times, have trouble uh, asking for the payment for their services. And I've been in that part of the industry where I'm always giving.
Ah,
If anybody calls me, I'm like, sure, you can pick my brain. Absolutely, let me give that connection to you. It's just who I am, and I feel that that is why I'm here. I'm here to connect people, and I'm here to be in service and of service. And I love that feeling. Yes, it's great to have your book sell. And yes, it's great to have a podcast sponsor or to pick up voiceover work, whatever. I always am open and I appreciate that. But I do know that a lot of creatives do have trouble with the ask portion of the program. So that's a good way to look at it, though, that you love it so much. So you don't suffer from um, the evidential medium burnout. I've heard a lot of people after a while, they just can't do readings anymore because they feel like they're constantly taking on all these energies and it's very difficult on them physically.
yeah, no, I don't suffer from that. And I think part of the reason why is because, like I was mentioning earlier, I don't let the energy run through me.
Right.
But the one thing that is challenging, of course, is because I'm holding the space for the grief that
Mm,
arises. Because, of course, when you're interacting with beings who've lost their loved ones, especially if they've lost a spouse or a child, that is just, that is very, very challenging, especially if the spouse was young and no matter what age the child is, that's a very difficult thing. So that's the one thing that I have to be very aware of, is that I then don't kind of take on sort of a heaviness around grief. And so I always explain to people that obviously this work that I do can be very, very healing for the grief, but definitely by all means, use a therapist, talk to a grief specialist, do whatever you need to do to support yourself in the grief, because mediumship readings can lighten the grief and can help. But you're still going to always have the grief. I do believe that there are certain experiences that we go through that leave a wound that we don't really completely ever heal from. Scar tissue can form around it and we coexist with that wound. But I, have sadnesses in my life that I can be just as sad as ever before if I allow myself to go down there. So I have to realize, okay, that's all right. I might not completely heal from that wound, but the scar tissue has formed and I can coexist with that woundedness, with that sorrow, and then use it in service to others. Because I think part of the reason why I can do this work is I have had a lot of physical death around me. I have had a lot of sorrow and sadness. I've been through the fire. And so I've come out the other side. And so when I'm interacting with people, I can truly, truly hold the space for that grief and then try to uplift it just a little bit and say the thing that can just make them go, oh my goodness. So oftentimes, like what to me is just such a joy is that even if the session starts out with with the person being very kind of heavy and down, sometimes by the end of it, they're laughing because I've brought through a memory that just tickles them and just makes them think of their loved one with joy. And it's just amazing to me. So I know that at least for this day, that particular packet of grief, so to say, has been just a little bit lightened for them, So
Mm. Do you ever or have you noticed a trend, or not even a trend, that's not the right word, a pattern or a message from those souls that have transitioned and that are now in the next room? Have you noticed something, that a message that they would like to get through to us on the living side here as human beings? Have you noticed a pattern with any thought or feeling?
yeah, for me, the pattern is that we need to quit being so hard on ourselves.
Mm.
Oftentimes, if you ask someone to, like, okay, what are you thinking about right now? They're oftentimes ruminating over something that they wish they had said differently, done differently, reacted differently to, and they're beating themselves up. So I don't mean that we shouldn't think about our behavior and see if perhaps we could have done something differently or done it better. But yet when you say, okay, well, now recall something that you felt like, oh, you had the answer. Oh my gosh, you just really felt like everything was flowing well and it made you feel great joy. People will take a little bit longer time to bring that message or to bring that memory forth of when they felt good and when everything felt like it was clicking. But if you ask them, what are you thinking about right now? Oftentimes it's a conversation they wish had gone differently. So one of the messages really seems to be kind of across the board is let yourselves off the hook. Don't be so hard on yourselves. When you can really express gratitude for your life and what's around you, you will see more things for which to be grateful. What you appreciate appreciates, sort of thing. And so, and of course, the big one is do not be afraid of death. There is nothing to fear, and nobody dies alone. So, now for anyone who prefers to die alone, that might not be a comforting thought. So I suppose if you prefer to die alone, then the beautiful ancestors of light will probably stand back for a bit and let you have your experience and then swoop in and surround you. But most people that I've done readings for, when I tell them who all meted their loved ones and welcomed them back home, some of them will say, oh, that's interesting. I would have thought that my dad would have wanted to have died alone or not really been influenced by anybody. And I thought, well, that's what we say when we're here in the physical human form. But as soon as you start having your gorgeous spirit and soul let go of the human body and move back home to spirit, you are more than happy when there's a homecoming party because now again, you're released from that egotistic preferential mind.
Mm. What you appreciate appreciates.
And that's not an original thought. I can't remember. It might be Lynn Twist when she was talking about money. I cannot remember. But yeah, that
That's
I,
okay. I just love it. I wrote it down. That's great. I'll find out and definitely give the author credit. Chenée Fournier, my guest today on The Next Room. Boy, I think we're just going to have you back, Chenée. This is, we barely scratched the surface with you. I'm really grateful for all of your transparency, and you're stripping it down and you're sharing your journey with us. And I really do appreciate it. Um, in closing, are there any final thoughts that you'd like to share with the audience?
oh my goodness. I would say the final thought would be at the best of each person's ability to truly try to be grateful each day. I know that people have challenges, and some challenges are way more than I could ever even imagine. So I don't want to like sugarcoat things. But each and every day, whatever it is that you can feel grateful for, really hold that to the light and really focus on that because gratitude also draws spiritual beings in closer to you. I don't actually believe that sadness or sorrow or heaviness would ever push your loved ones away. I believe that you can still connect with them even if you are feeling sorrow and sadness and feeling kind of heavy and dense. But when you are feeling appreciative and happy and joyful and content, that really does draw even more of the beings of light and ancestors of light to gather around you, because who doesn't want to be around someone who's emitting loving energy? So I think that would be one of the main things. And once again, do not fear death. It
I
truly
love
is not
that.
an end. It's just an opening to a greater reality with way more dimensions and beauty than I could even imagine.
Fantastic. Great final words for the next room. Chenée Fournier, ChenéeFournier.com is where you can find her. She is, as you can hear, just a really gentle, loving, energetic soul. She does evidential mediumship, and she's also an energy intuitive. And if you want to catch up with her, you can just hit her website, and I'll make sure I post everything below. So thanks again to my guest, Chenée. Thank you for joining us on the next room. I appreciate all of you that have downloaded the podcast. Thank you for sharing it, listening to it. Thank you for the book sales, the audiobook, and the digital copy, and the hard copy. I really do appreciate all of the support that I've had within my career. So thank you for being here today. I will be back next week. And until that time, if you can be anything, please be kind.